Hey everybody, this is 22 Tiger Dude and I'm here to review Captain America, the First Avenger. Before I review the film though, I'm going to bring in my two guest stars, SeeItInIMAX and Filmme Fatale, to review the film, America.
First off, a massive thank you to 22 Tiger Dude for asking me to do this. This is our second collab video together and I cannot wait for the next one. Captain America came out in 2011. He was the final cast member of the Avengers to be introduced, and this film segued into the mammoth that is the Avengers. I've seen it twice now, and I liked it both times. I think it does a solid job of getting us to know Steve Rogers and how he became Captain America. Not having read the comics, I can't say how true the story is to the material, but the photography and especially the production design catapult us, the audience, into 1940s America. The first half is more character drama, understanding the man before he bulks up and then seeing how it changes him once it's done. But in the second half, the film becomes more so this Saturday morning action cartoon, and the tone becomes less so serious. My biggest problem by far is Red Skull. I'm not sure if it's Hugo Weaving or the look of the character or both, but it's just he's not that menacing. I mean, when he comes on screen, you don't go like, oh my god, it's Red Skull. You're just like, oh, it's Red Skull. Cool. Once again, did not read the comics, so I have no clue what he's like there. But here, he's not the best written character. I'm also not the biggest fan of Hayley Atwell as Peggy Carter. I mean, she looks great. She is beautiful. But her acting isn't so much. Doesn't really help when the screenplay is pretty cheesy, but it's Marvel. They like to have fun. I mean, I do too, but it's pretty cheesy. All that said, I think it's a good, fun ride, and I cannot wait for Cap 2. The First Avenger gets 3 out of 5 stars from me.
Hey film fans, what's up? It's Lindsay here again from Filmme Fatale, coming at you live, well, not live, but coming at you fairly recently from 22 Tiger Dude's channel. And I am going to be reviewing a movie today that I think most of us have already seen, and it is Captain America, the First Avenger. I'm really excited about The Winter Soldier for several reasons. I really enjoyed Captain America, the First Avenger. Just some facts about it. It was directed by Joe Johnston. You would know him as the guy who directed Jumanji and that amazing cheesy movie with Macaulay Culkin that we all loved as children, The Page Master, and also Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So that's pretty cool. I think Captain America the First Avenger is kind of a depart from that for the director, and I feel like he did an amazing job with this film. I'm kind of surprised they didn't invite him back to direct The Winter Soldier. This movie stars Chris Evans as Captain America, Sebastian Stan, who played Bucky, who's also going to be returning in the role of the Winter Soldier. Spoiler alert. If you didn't know that, then you don't know the Captain America series, and I haven't spoiled anything for you, so don't be mad at me. Be mad at yourself for not knowing your Marvel history. Dominic Cooper plays Howard Stark, and I really enjoyed him in that role. Howard Stark is a suave guy. He was a really cool guy, almost as cool as his son, and I really enjoyed sort of delving into his character in Captain America, the First Avenger, because not only was he great in this film, but I feel like it gave a little perspective to the Iron Man movies as well, even though it doesn't really match up to the Iron Man movies' first portrayal of Howard Stark. Whatevs. He is the real Howard Stark in my mind. Tommy Lee Jones played Colonel Chester Phillips. That is about as American as you can get for names right there. And then Stanley Tucci did a really great job as Dr. Abraham Erskine. I can't remember how they said it in the film. I think it's Erskine. He did a great job with that character, playing basically a German doctor who turns Chris Evans from this scrawny little guy who gets beat up all the time because he stands up for what's right. He's apparently such a pipsqueak that he gets denied entry into the army. He wants to fight the Nazis and they won't let him until Stanley Tucci comes along and he's like, no, you're cool, I'm gonna vouch for you, and turns him into Captain freaking America. Important role in that, and I think he did a really good job. And then for villains, Hugo Weaving from, The Matrix and Lord of the Rings trilogy. He played a character called Red Skull, who was a really, really fun villain, and he did a really good job. And then Toby Jones, who is Dobby himself, played Dr. Armin Zola, who's like the bad Hydra doctor. The film takes place in the 40s, which I really enjoyed. I feel like that was a really interesting thing to see after, all the modern Marvel movies. I thought it was really nice to see a film that takes place during simpler times. I really like that era as far as, style goes. Really fun to see, just sort of an old-timey, the birth of the original Avenger. It basically is about the Nazis, but much worse than the Nazis, if you could get worse. Apparently you can, because Hitler didn't have a Red Skull, so apparently we're supposed to be just as afraid of him as we are of Red Skull, because it's kind of just like a Nazi, a branch of Nazis. Hydra broke off because Red Skull wanted to control everything instead of Hitler, and he was actually taking on the Nazis. He killed some Nazis with his weapon. He actually got Toby Jones, who was a mad scientist type character, to harness the power of the Tesseract that we should all be familiar with by now. It's kind of throughout all the Marvel movies. But they got their dirty Hydra hands on the Tesseract, and they harnessed it to have sort of an evil, huge power that nobody should have. And Captain America was basically traveling around. The army had him going around selling war bombs. One day he finds out that a bunch of soldiers are in trouble, and he goes out in the field and he's like, F all y'all, I'm saving these soldiers. The action is amazing. I don't want to spoil too much if you haven't seen the film, if you maybe need to catch up on this film before you see The Winter Soldier, so I'm not going to tell you how it ends up. I think you have a pretty good idea because there's going to be a sequel, so you know who wins. Obviously it's Captain America. He's gonna win regardless. Nick Fury, played by Samuel Jackson, also makes a cameo. I really, really enjoyed this movie. I would give it 10 out of 10 stars. It is my favorite Marvel movie. So thanks 22 Tiger Dude for having me review this movie, for asking me to participate. I really appreciate it. Here's Captain America: The First Avenger on Blu-ray. Beautiful packaging. I can't wait until The Winter Soldier comes out and I can have the set. Here's the back of it. It's a 2-disc DVD feature film with a digital copy, and it has great special features on it, including Marvel one-shot A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to Thor's Hammer HD, which is a featurette they like to include. The Assembly Begins HD, 6 featurettes HD, deleted scenes, commentary by director Joe Johnston, director of photography Shelley Johnson, and editor Jeffrey Ford, and more! Exclamation point! And you open it up and it's just simple. But there are no holes cut in this, and it's super nice. I'm out of here. Thanks again, 22 Tiger Dude. Thank you everybody for watching. I hope you're all having an amazing day, and I hope to see you at the theater watching Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I know I'm going to be there. Be there or be square. And I'll catch you guys later. Bye.
Thank you, SeeItInIMAX and Filmme Fatale. I'm going to be completely honest. In my opinion, Captain America: The First Avenger is actually my favorite Phase 1 movie. Yes, Iron Man, the first one, is pretty close, but if I have to say the one I actually enjoyed a little more is Captain America: The First Avenger. First of all, Chris Evans is excellent as Captain America. And yes, it is weird to see him play a second hero in the Marvel Universe, because he played the Human Torch in both the Fantastic Four movies. But really, here, you don't see a Chris Evans. You actually do see a Steve Rogers / Captain America. And he just owns the role. He is Captain America. Stanley Tucci was really good here. I truly appreciate his character. I found his character to be very likable. Tommy Lee Jones is so badass here. And the actress who plays Steve Rogers' love interest, she does a really good job, and I really butt into her and Steve Rogers' chemistry with each other. You also have Dominic Cooper, who I really enjoyed as Bucky, Steve's best friend. And Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull, I know some people complain about him, but in my opinion, he's a very good villain. I'm not saying he's like the greatest villain I've ever seen, but he was a really good villain. He did his job, and his Red Skull face, I thought the makeup looked pretty cool. It could have looked a little more better, but I thought overall how the Red Skull actually looked, it impressed me. I was always really engaged by the storyline. The movie is preposterous as hell, but I gotta say, it really does work. And it just makes the film so much more fun that way. The whole build-up to Steve Rogers finally becoming Captain America, because he literally does not put in his suit until the final 40 minutes of the film, it was really well handled. And I didn't mind the fact this film lacked action, because I know some people are going to find the slow build-up really slow. Some people are going to complain about there not being that much action, but to me it really worked, and that's because the writing was so great. You enjoy this origin story with Captain America. It's just something that always kept me highly invested. I truly loved almost every moment of this film. It's such a freaking good movie. There's a lot of humor into the film that made me laugh. The action sequences, even though there's not a whole lot of them, but when it's there, it looks absolutely amazing, and it completely just blows it out of the park. It was so well filmed. Visuals looked phenomenal. It just made me one happy dude. Cinematography to the film looks beautiful. Every time I watch the final 5 minutes of this movie, it gets me choked up. I actually tear up a little every time I watch the ending, because it makes you so sad at what happens and then what else happens. It gets you angry, but at the same time it sets up to the Avengers so well. It was so unexpected. My only problems with this film would just be that, yeah, the Red Skull could have looked a little more better. I thought a few times the humor felt a little bit off, and it didn't have to be there. The film is a little bit too foolish in my opinion. Like they could have toned down the foolishness just a little bit. But overall, I really like the storyline. I really love the performances. I love the finale. It has an ending I did not see coming, and I truly love it. Almost every moment of Captain America, the First Avenger is phenomenal. It just took me away by storm. It's outstanding. It is my favorite Phase 1 movie, and I am going to give this film 3.5 out of 4 stars. Please check out SeeItInIMAX and Filmme Fatale's channel. I will leave a link in the description below. These are two very great people who have a huge passion for films, and thanks to both of them for guest starring in this review. I am 22 Tiger Dude. Don't forget that I will always have Tiger Power!